Hey everyone, welcome to our third Refresh Your Life series event. We are super excited, Denise and I, to be here today with Jules Ball, who is our mystic of magic. We're going to pick her brain today and share some really enlightening, insightful information that we hope really creates some more magic in your life. We know that it's certainly helping to do that in ours. So let's get started. I want to introduce Jules. She is an intuitive life coach. She is an energy alchemist, and she's a divine healer. And we'll get into more about what all that means. But Jules, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me. This is just so much fun to be with you girls and share information.
Yeah, well, we love what you do. So when we first time we chatted, you used the word magic, and I was really captured by that in a good way, because you don't really hear that often, and I think that it typically brings different ideas, and I think the way you use it is not the typical thing that people think of. So first, I wondered if you could talk about what does it mean to you when you say that you're a creator of magic, or what is it to be a light worker?
Okay. Well, so for me, I had a long path and a lifetime of non-magical things. And I always knew that there was something else. I just didn't exactly know what it was. It's like, you know how that state between sleeping and waking, where there's this beautiful peace and bliss and livingness, and then you wake up and you're in this other reality. And I had always had this idea that place could be real. And so I guess you could say my life of seeking is what led me there. Lots of studies, lots of practices, lots of classes. But what it means to me, what I say about myself as a mystic, is that I'm a magical being living a magical life. And that's not something that's exclusive to me. That's something that's available to everybody. And the way I found myself in that place was through working with energy and just tuning in to energy on a daily basis, moment by moment. It's basically a different mindset or a different perception, way of seeing things. In every moment, we always have a choice. We have a choice of how to look at what's facing us, what's opposing us, what's coming to us. And in that moment, I have made it my quest to choose magic and to teach other people how to choose magic. So it's really just, it's like a portal in your own head that's available to everybody. No matter what's going on in your world, there's choices before you. And if you look to choose what is for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned and the most magical option, you'll find yourself there just by choosing it, just by asking for it, just by looking for it, you know?
So would you describe the most magical choice as being the best aligned with who you are, with your spirit, or, you know, what does that look like, I guess?
I think so yeah, that's a really good question, because it can go really deep. When you first start looking for it, it's generally not always available to you, because we go through our life and we live our life, and our culture dictates certain things, and our upbringing dictates certain things, and our church, our religion, our schooling, all these things, they go into our brain, and we choose them as our reality. Basically, someone tells us something somewhere along the way, and we believe it. We make a choice. Generally, it's not something that we're choosing cognitively. We're just like, oh yeah, that sounds right. So, and then we align with that. So that becomes our reality. And we just make that same choice over and over and over again in all kinds of different scenarios without even being aware that we're doing it. That's where the key is. The key is becoming aware that you even have a choice, if that even makes sense. Because most of us are walking around living our lives by default, right? A situation comes into our life and we react in the way that we've always reacted, or in a way that has made sense to us. What I'm talking about is what else is possible. You know, what else is possible that I've never even considered, no matter what's going on. If I have a flat tire, if someone's yelling at me, you know, if someone's being kind to me, just actually tuning into the fact that in that moment I have a choice. And then for me, the most magical choice is the one that feels light in my body, the one that feeds my soul, the one that brings me peace. And for the three of us, that same scenario might be a different choice for each of us. And that's a part of what's magical about it. The magic that is within you is yours and yours alone. And it's there for you to discover if you just start looking. I do a practice called sacred inquiry, right? So I'm always asking questions about things. And that question that I shared with you, what else is possible that I've never even considered, is my favorite question. Because in every moment, what we don't realize is that there are infinite possibilities of how we could respond, not just the one that we've always responded with. And if you take that moment and take that breath and spend some time in that moment, what else is possible that I've never even considered? That's where magic lives. That's where.
And would you consider magic happiness? How would you differentiate? Because I know, like we talked about also, like it made me think when you were sharing some things, I was thinking, wow, here it is, here you are, such an evolved, let's walk around happy all the time. That's not the case, right? That's not, so, I mean, how would you differentiate kind of what you're talking about and, you know, everyone's quest to be happy?
Okay, so that's really good, because I don't think happiness exists as an exclusive way to live, right? I honestly don't believe that we came here into human bodies to be happy all the time. What we came here was to experience life and then make choices that will point us towards that happiness. Does that make sense? In other words, happiness is not this state that you get in and stay in, right? Because things are always going to come up. We came here to grow, and we came here to learn, and we came here to have experiences, which is continually expanding consciousness through us on a daily basis. What magic is choosing the thing that is going to line up with what happiness looks like for us in a moment by moment experience. In other words, that's the magic. The magic is having this terrible thing facing you and still being able to be kind, whether that's to another person or to yourself, making the choice that is going to bring you peace, it's going to bring you ease, it's going to bring you flow, as opposed to the choice that's going to add to the whatever energy is before you, whether it's frustration, whether it's anger, whether it's joy. There's always a choice in that moment that's going to lead you closer to the way you want to feel, which is what you're saying is happiness, right? So happiness is not necessarily the byline, but for me, magic is the byline, right? Because I can choose magic. I can't always choose happiness, you know, when someone dies, right? Or when something happens that devastates me. But what I can choose is magic. And in that moment, the magic may be sorrow. The magic may be grief. The magic may be overwhelm, and allowing it. The magic is the allowing of whatever it is that's coming to me just to come in. Because if you can allow something to come in, if you can receive it, it is able to pass through. But what happens is we resist everything, you know, with a big fat no. And you've probably heard this before, whatever you resist persists, because it is the truth. Because what's happening is an energy is coming towards you, and then you're facing that energy, right? So it's just going to get bigger. Whereas if an energy is coming towards you and you just allow it to pass through, allow it to overtake you in the moment, and then it can pass through. It's not going to stay if it's not in alignment with who you are and the highest truth that you're seeking. And I'm not saying that it doesn't stay sometimes for a while, but if you're always choosing to come back to allow things and to make the choice that's an allowance with who you really want to be in the world? You know, that's another really good question. When something's facing me, what choice do I have here in this moment that will still allow me to be the person that I'm desiring to become in this journey? Versus being this person that, you know, we've all been there. We've all had that crazy moment where something's come at us and we've been someone and later we're like, oh my God, who was that? I don't even know what I was doing in that moment. I completely lost it, right? It happens.
I've never had that.
Me either. Yeah, I've never had that. Well, yeah, right. Oh my God, this weekend was kind of, I felt that way. Well, so one of the things that we wanted to kind of dig deeper in is presenting a couple scenarios so that we could actually, you know, show people how this process works, which, you know, at least in shifting a mindset, right? And I know I've been really fortunate because I've been getting to know you, and I've actually come and done energy work with you, and that experience alone was really amazing and kind of indescribable. Like, I feel like it's something people just have to do. But, you know, for me, as someone who has been, you know, for probably 15 years now, really trying to work on myself, and I've worked with life coaches, and I've done a lot to shift my thinking to try to get the results that I want in the world and to improve my relationships and be who I want to be in the world. But one of the things that I find challenging is that I am kind of a chameleon personality. So, for example, if I am in a situation where, you know, let's just say my husband, for example, something happens and his mood really shifts and I start to feel that energy, like I kind of let myself get caught up in the negativity of things when that is not the state that I want to be in. And so what are some things that you can suggest of like, is it asking that question, what else is possible that I never even considered, or just taking that moment instead of reacting and taking some deep breaths, or how, you know, or just letting the energy flow through? I guess I'm putting this out there just so we can really help people understand, you know, an example of like, if you're in a situation and it's not feeling good or it's not going the way that you want it to, like, how do we redirect to really get back to being in alignment of who we really want to be?
Okay, and that's perfectly, beautifully framed question, because it happens to all of us, like all day long, every day, right? So many of us are empathic and we're not aware that we're empathic. And what that means when you're empathic is you're basically picking up on other people's energies. And I'll just give a little example of that. Have you ever been in a totally amazing mood, right? And you're one with life, you've got your favorite songs on the radio, you're feeling so good, and you hop on the freeway and it's bumper to bumper traffic, and all of a sudden your mood just shifts, right? All of a sudden you're feeling frustrated and angry. Well, 9 times out of 10, that's not your energy you're picking up on. That's the energy of all the other cars that have been sitting in traffic, right? And you just joined up with them, say 25 cars all around you, and you're picking up on their energy. So the first thing to do in that moment is always to ask, who does this belong to, right? And sometimes in the asking of that question alone, just by asking, who does this belong to, you're going to feel a shift. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, this might not be mine. So then the next question is it mine, someone else's, or something else's? And generally, 9 times out of 10, someone else's, you're going to feel a little bit lighter on. So the first thing, just by asking that question and realizing that it's someone else's, a lot of times your own energetic balance is able to come right back into being. And you can basically say, oh, it's not mine. Return to the sender with consciousness attached, right? And allow it to go. So that's one little scenario that you can do. The second scenario that I really like to do is a grounding exercise. And we can do a really short one. When we finish this talk, I'll walk you through one that's available to all of us to do all the time. And the third one is, of course, my favorite question. And that's the one I reach for most often because it's the easiest and the quickest for me to think of. What else is possible that I've never even considered? So in a scenario with your husband or a colleague or a friend or your mother or, somebody or your children, you might want to ask, what else is possible that I've never even considered in this moment? Or an even better question is, what energy do I have that I can tap into right now? Because again, we don't often realize that we have a choice in the moment. So the first step is to, even before all of this, the first step is to become aware that you have a choice, right? If you can do that, half the game is won, right? If you can just in the moment realize, take a deep breath, and when you're starting to feel an energy that feels confrontational or agitating or anxiety, oh, wait a minute, I have a choice right here. So now, and if you can't even remember the question, then ask, what question can I ask right now that will help me in this situation? Because I'm going to defer a little bit and share about the questioning process, and then we'll come back to this. But when we're looking for an answer, a lot of times we're looking for answers in life. And when we're looking for an answer, there's only one option that's possible, which is the answer, right? The answer. And generally we're looking for the right answer. We judge things as right and wrong, right? Well, when we're looking for an answer and we're looking for the right answer, there's really only one possibility available. And what happens is when we're looking for the right answer, our mind is going back through the files and back through the experiences and back through the memories that it has stored and trying to find a scenario that's similar so it can give us the right answer. When you ask a question instead of looking for an answer, like what else is possible that I've never even considered, all of a sudden there's infinite possibilities available that could come in. And it could be something totally crazy and weird, like, oh, I should eat a popsicle. Do you know what I mean? Like anything like that. But whatever it is that comes in is what the universe is telling you is going to shift this energy right now. So when you ask a question, you have unlimited possibilities versus looking for an answer. So going back to your scenario, if that is happening to you in the moment and you can just realize that you have a choice, right? Oh, I'm starting to feel upset. I'm starting to feel anxious. I know that I wasn't feeling this way a few minutes ago, and it's more than likely because of this scenario that's going on around me. I have a choice here. Okay, what question can I ask that may lead to a different scenario than what usually plays out when I start to feel this way? And the amazing question, what else is possible that I've never even considered? And then I can't tell you what that answer is because that answer is going to come for you. But if you ask the question, generally just by asking that question, you're going to feel lighter because all of a sudden the universe is not going into its normal pattern. It's not going into the gerbil wheel that we always run through. And by asking the question, all of a sudden you're going to feel a little lighter because the universe is going to present options to you. The other thing is it's not generally always going to present it to you the first time. The challenge with this work and growing into a more magical part of life is just to keep asking the question. And again, we're not asking that question looking for an answer. We're just asking the question because when we ask that question, it shifts our energy into an energy of infinite possibilities. And I know that might be a little challenging for the cognitive mind to grasp. Wait, I'm asking a question and not looking for an answer. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're asking a question and not looking for an answer. Because by doing that, we're shifting our energy into the quantum field where possibilities live. And when you shift the energy, everything changes. When you just are able to move the energy from where you were, starting to get anxious, starting to, oh no, this is happening again, I can feel it happening, to what else is possible that I've never even considered. I mean, just do that right now for a minute. Just ask yourself that question about whatever you're doing right now, sitting in front of a computer screen. Deep breath, what else is possible that I've never even considered? And how does that feel? It feels like infinite possibilities. It feels like the point of creation. Because before the point of creation is the nothingness, is the abyss, is the is the infinite field of where everything gets created from. And you're now standing on that precipice. You know, you're now standing between reality as we've lived it and magic, which is all it is a state of consciousness. All it is an energy. That's all we're doing, is tuning into a different energy. And if you can tune into just a different energy just for a moment and feel it, your body is going to begin resonating with that moment and starting to want to do everything from that space and place, because it brings peace, it brings calm. And then you might ask the next question, what energy can I tap into right now? Or what energy do I have available to me that will shift the situation right away? And just see what comes up. You know?
I want to put you in a bottle and keep you with me all the time. Like, seriously. I mean, I just think like what you're talking about is also super timely, in that we're just seeing so much sorrow in the world. You know, 2 big name suicides last week. And I also ran into a friend who also lost a good friend of his to suicide. And, you know, there's just so much heartache and mental illness and people struggling. And I'm not saying that this is the one end all be all solution, but when you're speaking and what you're saying, it just feels like, gosh, how many doors could open if we could all just stop and think like this?
Yeah.
You know, like how much sorrow would be comforted or alleviated. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I also think it's fascinating. Like there's so much also loneliness in the world, especially, which is ironic because we're so connected and there's social media. But a lot of times we're looking and we're seeing a lot of curated lives. And I wanted to share this story because I think there's a lot of people, moms in my situation, where we're so spread super thin. I have 3 little kids and my husband's traveling an awful lot right now. And I've been experiencing these moments, and it's not foreign to me. I've had this since my kids were little. And in full disclosure, like I've battled, postpartum depression and things like that. So it's always like, this is a work in progress of how to manage my own emotions when things get hard. But there's this thing that happens when I'm super overwhelmed, and I consider this like being at my lowest, where I'm so overwhelmed. There's 3 people all needing different things, and I just want to leave. I just want to walk out the door, and I just want to leave my kids. And like, it makes me so sad to even say it out loud, because then I'm struggling with the fact that I'm struggling, and I'm judging my feelings, how I'm feeling in that moment, and that I can't believe I'm not enjoying this, and I can't believe I'm feeling this way. So, and I don't think that I'm the only one that feels like this, but I do think it's difficult for us to talk about, and it's difficult to be honest about it because we are so afraid of judgment. So what would you say in this situation?
Okay, well, I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna wrap this in with what Addie was saying too, because I want to make sure that we got her thing fully answered, and we'll come back to it and do a meditation for both of you. But first of all, judgment is useless, right? And judgment in and of itself is as far away from magic as you can get, right? So if you're wanting to live and have a more magical life, judgment has got to be something that begins to dissipate in your life. And you've got to start with dissipating it in your judgment of yourself, because that's where all our judgment starts, right? So for you in this scenario, and for Addie in her scenario with her husband, I'm sure there's some judgment of, I want to be the good wife, and I want to be supportive, and I want to do these things. And just like you, I want to be a good mom, and I want to take care of my kids, and I don't want to have these thoughts. Okay, What else is possible that I've never even considered? Well, one would be allowing that to be okay. Like in Addie's situation, allowing the fact that your husband is, off his game right now and not feeling well, and that's coming into your peaceful, possibly joyful environment and shaking things up a little. And that's okay. It's okay. You're human. It's okay to feel that. Okay, let's not judge myself. It's okay that I'm having this feeling towards what he's doing. And for you, with your kids, what if it's okay to want to leave? What if you could, in just a moment, just accept yourself and love yourself and meet yourself right there where you are, no matter what's facing you, understanding that you're not superwoman, right? And having 3 young children at home is more than most people can handle, and being mostly the sole parent because your husband's on the road. And even if he wasn't, 3 kids, 3 little beings all wanting your attention at once is more than enough to overwhelm the average person, right? I spend time with my nieces and nephews and I love them all, but there's 4 of them. And sometimes I feel just like you do. But where you and I are different, the magical prospect is, I think for a moment, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I could be the mom that would leave my kids, and that's okay. I'm not saying you're going to, but having the thought and not judging it in the moment is okay. And I think that's the disparity you were talking about a lot with mental illness, and where people get caught up and feel like they have no choice anymore, is because they've forgotten that they have a choice, right? You can have that thought come in and understand that the choice to leave is a choice, and not judge it as anything, and still choose to stay. And allowing that choice in, that it is possible, right? That it is one of the millions of possibilities that are available to you, and not judging it, is where you're going to meet your truth, is where you're going to meet the woman that you are and who you want to be. It's not in the judging of yourself and trying to be perfect. It's in the space and place of allowing yourself to have thoughts and feelings that are not perfect, so they can pass through. Just like what we were talking about, if you just allow that possibility that I could be the mom that would leave without any judgment, you're fine. You're not doing it, right? You're just allowing that possibility. I mean, doesn't it feel softer to you to just allow that choice as opposed to the big fat no? Because then you're increasing that energy. You're adding to the overwhelm. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. It's building and building and building, and the energy is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So before it was just your 3 kids overwhelming you. Now it's your 3 kids and you, and you, the judgy yous that are judging every single possibility in a moment, that are making that even bigger and bigger, and there's nowhere for it to go. It's like you're creating your own pressure cooker. Whereas that thought for one moment of, oh, I could leave, and then it's gone. That's the place and the space where I'm recommending that people meet themselves, that it's okay, that there's unlimited possibilities, and they're all okay. Even if you did choose them, even if, we open that big bucket of worms, and people do, things are still okay. The universe is still going to continue and move and flow. Most people are not going to make that choice, right? But the gentle spot for you to be with yourself and say, oh, that's a possibility. And then from there, from that place there where you've just dissipated some of that energy instead of resisting it, that's where you're coming back to center and coming back to center and coming back to center, right? Finding that place of being gentle with yourself, of being loving to yourself. And, like as Addie mentioned earlier, that woman that you want to be in your marriage and your relationships, well, just by allowing the thought that you could be the side that is the shadow side, allowing, allowing those possibilities in, allows you to align with your true path and your true journey. I mean, we all have a light side and a dark side, right? The shadow side lives. It's not necessarily bad. We just have to stop judging it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say that true consciousness is allowing everything and judging nothing. Nothing. That's a big deal, because we don't realize how many judgments we have on a day-to-day basis about every single thing. Once you become aware of your judgments, then that's where those questions come in. What else is possible that I've never even considered? You know, what if allowing those thoughts in is the superpower you've been searching for? You know, I mean, I'm just saying, what if not judging yourself is where all the bonus gifts live, you know, that you're always looking for? Yeah. Because we haven't found them on the clear search for them. So what if allowing the shadow side to be the shadow side and not judging it and just go, oh, everything has polarity, dark and light, right and wrong, good and bad, soft and hard. Like, it's necessary for the whole. I mean, what else is possible that you've never even considered? That it's possible. And in the allowing of it is where I found the peace. In the not judging of myself is where I find the magic, because so many other things are available. I'm not shutting off the faucet, right, by my no. I'm not exacerbating the negative energy when I just allow it to pass through and just be with it. Whether it's grief, whether it's sorrow, whether it's judgment for a moment, whatever it is, allow it. And from there, infinite possibilities are available. Infinite magic is available. Once you start walking this path and becoming aware, just becoming aware of where you're judging yourself, for most people, is a life changer. It's a game changer, right? We don't realize how much we walk around in judgment of ourselves, how many things we're judging as good and bad. And just opening ourselves up to the thoughts, and every time we have one, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's just a thought. That's okay. That's a possibility. That's a possibility, because it all is possible. And in the light of eternity, this life that we're living is just a blink. But being present for every blink is where all the juice is. You know, it's where all the fun is. It's where all the joy is. Actually remembering that you have a choice in the moment is one of the most empowering things that there is on the planet. None of this stuff requires like a class or a teacher or a guru, you know. It just requires a deep breath and going within and asking a question. Now, I'm not saying all those things aren't amazing, because I've taken all of them. Basically studied with every guru I possibly could, taken every class I possibly could, because I'm fascinated and it turns me on and it lights me up. That's not the case for everybody. And so what I want to make really clear to everyone is this is available to you right here and right now. Taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, going within and asking, what else is possible that I've never even considered? What else is possible with this judgment right now that I don't have to judge myself? Oh, that's possible and it's okay. And if I did choose it, that's okay. And just doing that in your own head, that frees you in so many ways. And it invites so much more of that type of energy to come to you, because energy resonates and it attracts energy, right? So you know how when you're feeling really good and you're like happy and everything's going well, that what I call bonus gifts always are seeming to show up, right? But like this person hands you something that they're like, they don't need anymore, and it becomes your favorite thing. You're like, what? I love that. Oh my gosh, right? These things just come. That's because energy seeks its own level. It's like water, right? You know, they say that about water. Energy is the same way. That's why there's so many people on the planet, you know, teaching affirmations and positive thoughts and all these things, law of attraction, because what you're focused on multiplies. What you put your attention on in the moment is what is going to be drawn to you. What is likened to itself is drawn to. Abraham Hicks, who is a teacher that I studied with for a long time, Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham Hicks, is a wonderful resource for that and has 1 million free videos on YouTube to watch if you're interested in that type of thought and you can't get there on your own. But my suggestion is always to just try on your own and just keep trying, right? If you woke up every morning And before you opened your eyes, you just laid in bed and said, what else is possible today that I've never even considered? Just ask that question. Just ask it and see what the universe has to bring you. What's going to show up for you? Because what we were talking about earlier and what I segued into a little bit is your brain, when it's looking for an answer and it's looking through the files that it knows and memories that you've had and experience that you've had, it's always looking. Well, when you ask the question, what else is possible, and you add on that I've never even considered, well, all of a sudden your brain, your cognitive mind, can no longer play in the field because you just told it it's something that you've never even considered. So it can't go looking through any files for it. So that opens up the realm of possibility and infinite possibility, what we were talking about before, the realm of everything, the point of creation and beyond the point of creation. We as human beings are here expanding consciousness. That's why we come. It's actually expanding through us on a daily basis. And this is such a big concept, but people are always like, why am I here? Why do you think you come here? Because consciousness as itself, the all and the is, doesn't expand itself without having new experiences. So all three of us on our journey and path are facing experiences that perhaps have never been experienced. And the choice that we make in that moment may be different than any choice that's ever been made. And through that, if we're choosing a higher vibrational choice, we're actually expanding the consciousness of all that is. Does that make sense? You know how when people get together and pray or meditate, they actually can measure energy shifting because of that? It's the same way when you do it individually. You're making a ripple in the consciousness of all that is. Like, we're just so not aware of that as we're caught up in our day-to-day reality. But if you can just take a moment and breathe in, a deep, juicy breath, and realize that the choice that you're going to make in this moment could shift everything. It could make something better for someone down the street that's in despair, just by you choosing a higher frequency. Like, we just don't realize the potential that's within us in every single moment. That's magical. You don't know what your choice is doing to all of your neighbors, to all the people that are around you, maybe to someone in another country that's facing the same thing. We're all connected. This has been proven. There's an enormous web of energy. So when you're constantly choosing to judge yourself, it's having the opposite effect. You judging yourself may be contributing to other people judging themselves. And for women, it's such a big, big deal in our world because we are the empathic ones. We're the ones that are so tuned into energy. And when we're trained a certain way and we go through life a certain way and we keep acting on autopilot, we're contributing to that energy getting bigger and bigger. Well, is that what you want for your daughters? Right? Is that what you want for the little girl down the street? If it's not, then you've got to stop judging yourself because she's going to pick up on that energy. That's why there's so much of this social media, brush strokes and airbrushing and posing in the pictures to be perfect, because so many women are judging themselves. If none of us were judging ourselves, we wouldn't have a need for filters, right? Because there would be no judgment. So if we're going to make a stand to be a change in the world, and especially be a change for women, which we all are, so that's our choice in every moment, doesn't it feel right to not judge yourself? And sometimes our self-esteem is so low that we're beyond that point, that we don't even realize it. Well, if you're to that point, then just look for a young girl in your life and do it for her. Mm-hmm. If you can't do it for you, do it for your niece or your granddaughter or your daughter or your neighbor's daughter or a friend or a child that you don't even know. Make these choices in non-judgment because you want to be a part of shifting the consciousness for women as a whole and women in the future. It's just beautiful when you actually start to look at what your choices can contribute to the world. We don't think about that because we're overwhelmed, right? We're overwhelmed as moms and we're overwhelmed as everything else. But what if that's the universe actually teaching us to not judge ourselves? You know, what if it's actually not about your kids or your husband or whoever you're in? What if it's actually just about shifting the consciousness to a more peaceful way of being? Which I believe it is, right? I believe that we're here in life to learn things and to change things and to be, you know, you asked me about being a light worker. That's being a light worker. You know, making the softest, gentlest, kindest, most loving choice for yourself and for the world in every moment.
Wow. I think I'm going to echo what Denise said earlier of wanting to just like bottle all this up and have it with me. But I think it's funny because even just listening to you and hearing this, because it is something that I totally believe, and I have certainly been working towards having this mindset and belief system. But it's so fascinating when you hear someone else talk about it and you do it so beautifully, Jules. Like it's like poetry coming out of your mouth. I just love it. You can tell that this is like, you're so connected and you really, for me, are like a gift in my life now that I know you. And I think that, you know, for us to be, I can't wait to share this and see what doors open for other people. I'm really glad though that you did bring up the fact that you have done a bunch of classes and this has been something that you've been studying, and you gave one example of someone that, you know, has influenced your life and your teachings. If someone does want to go deeper in this, are there a couple of other resources that you could share of how someone could really dig deep and make a daily practice, or just find ways to re-inspire them when they're facing these moments and they really want to shift into a state of creating magic?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's literally 1 million resources. I'm sure you know there are so many people out there teaching these types of philosophies, but it isn't hard to find, and I can share some with you. But I wanted to comment on something that you mentioned. I want to bring this up for both of you and for everyone, because you talked about you working on this and working towards this and wanting to be this. And in the way that you said it, you know, I caught a judgment. So I'm just going to call you out on it, because so many of us are working, you know, towards this. Well, what we need to do is take a deep breath and really acknowledge how far we've come, because you're not the person that you were before you decided you wanted to be better. Just in wanting to be better, you're better, right? Mm. Everywhere you look and you seek to become a little bit better is a win, you know? And the thing is, you're already there. You know, you are. And that's the secret. No matter where anyone is, the fact that they want to learn more and seek another resource to help them, that makes you a light worker, right? And so you've got to just find that place to be gentle with yourself and not judge yourself that I'm not there yet. Right? Because we're all magic right here, right now, in this moment. Everything that you've done up to this point, most people are walking around as good people, right? They're walking around trying to be their best selves, whether they have a book or a teacher or a guru or not. Just in the desire to be that, you are it, right? And you really need to take that in and congratulate yourself and not judge yourself that you're not it, right? Not judge yourself that it's not it, because that's all I did, right? That is all I did. I told you about the seeking and classes and everything, and it didn't happen for me until the day that I got that just me seeking it made me it. And what I really did, the number one thing that got me to where I wanted to be was meditation, right? I don't always recommend a different teacher or a different resource, right? Meditating and going within, everything that everybody wants to tell you and share with you is in there. Because that's your infinite self. That's the part of you that's connected to everything. That's the part of you that's so far beyond this little life. If you can just spend 3 minutes a day in meditation, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it's more than enough. A minute, just going to that place and lining up with that part of you, your inner teacher, that's going to take you on so many amazing journeys. And on the other side of that, there are so many amazing books out there that someone can get. I mean, you can download a book for $3.99 on Kindle that's going to shift your awareness. If you're interested in the brain and how all of this affects the brain, Dr. Joe Dispenza is someone I've studied with a lot. He has amazing books that are they'll just open your mind. Abraham Hicks is amazing. There's some really popular gals, Gabrielle Bernstein, Danielle Laporte. I've also studied with Mama Regina Thomasauer. That's a more delve into the divine feminine. Access Consciousness, where I do energy work with, is another amazing. They have amazing books available. I studied Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer for years, Marianne Williamson. There are Byron Katie. If I should just take this computer and go walk through my library, because literally I just love to read and I love to learn and I love to expand my mind. But what's interesting about that is I've done a lot of great body work with Sheila Kelly. She does amazing work through S Factor. What's interesting about all of that is you can study with 10 different people, 20 different people, 30 different people, and you're only going to take from it what you're ready to receive in that moment, right? Because coming back to what I was telling you about meditating, we're all on our own path and we all have our own magic. So have you ever got a book and it's sat on your shelf for 2 to 3 years, and then one day you pick it up and read it and you're like, oh my God, this is the best book. But before that, you just didn't have the resonance to read it. Well, you weren't needing that energy there then, right? So that's why I say what I have to say might not resonate with other people. So I don't want anyone to get one of the books by one of the people I told you, or listen to something and go, oh, that just doesn't resonate with me, right? And then turn around and judge themselves that they're not getting it, right? Because that's what we're talking about. It's not wherever you are. You could walk into the library and head into a spiritual section or the self-help section or the new age section or any section that you're drawn to, a fiction section. I mean, I learned so much from fiction as much as I do from other stuff. I love Philip Pullman's books. He has the most amazing magical books that just gets my mind thinking in other ways. That's all that is being shared here with you. All I'm sharing with you is finding a way to find a different perspective in your own life. One where it's gentler, one where you're not judging yourself, one where you can shift the energy. That's all we're doing is shifting energy. There's so many videos on YouTube about energy and shifting energy. There are so many light workers out there on the planet today that are just wanting to share and help people, and give people access to thinking in a different way. Does that help? Do you want me to share more? I mean, there's so many. I feel at a loss, and I feel like if I don't share some of the people I really like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to say this one. But whatever you're drawn to in the moment, I think is really to use your own intuitive guidance toward what is calling you and what energy wants to work with you.
I think that's perfect. Go ahead, Denise.
Well, I know that just since first hearing you pose that question, what else is possible that I've never even considered, I've worked that into my daily practice, in just my everyday life when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And even just doing that one thing, I will say, it's clearly this is a muscle that needs to be worked, thinking that way. And also you would probably agree that, I feel like there's certain energy that's probably really locked in, and it's going to take a while and some time to maybe shake it out and really shift my mindset. But I do think, you really have given a gift in just that one question, and I can say personally, it's been a tool for me that is already helping me navigate on my journey.
Oh, I love that. And that question, and any question, it is, like you said, it is a muscle. It is, and it's not a magic solution, right? Because what we don't realize is how locked in our behaviors are. and how locked in our neural pathways are, how deep the grooves are in our mind where we go over. So for me personally, when I mentioned that I studied with Abraham Hicks, I went to all of their seminars that were local, and I literally listened to a video, any video. I would just pick the ones that resonated with me. Some are 10 minutes, some are an hour. I would listen to them for an hour in the morning and an hour at night. And I had decided I was going to do this just to see if I could begin thinking the way that Esther Hicks, who channels them, thinks. And I'm going to do this until I think like that, right? So I would just listen to YouTube video, because as you're listening to things like that, you're creating the new grooves, right? You're creating the new pathways. And I just continued that. So it's not like I listened to one thing and I was better. It's just like you. I would listen to it every day. And now when I ask the questions, I ask them every day. If I give someone a question, like if we come up with a new question for you, say I'm working with someone and we create and design a personal question for everyone beyond that question, right? Because that, in my opinion, that's the best question. But then you can get more specific in your questioning. At least 30 days, sometimes 1,000 days. I have questions going on in my life right now that I'm asking for 1,000 days. That's what I've committed to, because I really want to shift them. And this is an access consciousness question, and I'll share it with you, the question that I'm asking right now every day. What energy, space, and consciousness can I be that will allow me to perceive, know, be, and receive the infinite contribution that I truly be? And that's my question. And I ask that question 30 times a day, and I'm going to ask it for 1,000 days just to see. Like, I just do these experiments on myself. This is how my life is. I'm like, how much fun would it be for me to do an experiment and see how much farther I can go? And I don't judge myself, right? If I mess up or if I miss a day, I just start over. I'm like, okay, we start from today, but there's no longer any judgment in it, right? But it's really because we're here for this lifetime, right? And we have these amazing things going on, but what if we could just do experiments with our own consciousness? Because that's what I was saying a little while earlier about things didn't really start to become magical to me until I stopped listening to all these other gurus and understood that I would create my own magic. You will create your own magic. Like, we're infinite, and yet we're individual. Like, there's not another you anywhere on the planet. There never will be again. So don't you think in and of itself within you is a certain kind of magic, just as much as every other person that we are inspired by has it? Well, what if, this is what I thought, what if I have it too? Right? What if I've been looking out there and out there and out there for all the answers and reading all this stuff and taking all these classes? Because I will tell you, at one point I started to get bored. You know what I mean? I did. And not in a bad way, but bored where, like, I knew it. Right? I knew it, and I knew it so much because everybody that's out there is basically sharing the same beautiful message, that we all have the potential and it is within us. So I think for me, I got so full that I was like, oh, it's within me. I better start looking there, because I've looked everywhere else and now I'm getting bored with everyone saying, not bored in a bad way, but I like to learn all the time, right? Continually learn, go on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And it wasn't there for me. And what I feel like that was the universe telling me, oh, well, there's this place of infinite space within me. How about I go look there? And that's when I started looking there. That's when my life really started to shift into being magical. And that's how I ended up being the mystic of magic. Because I'm like, oh, I found my way here. And where I am is me. And that's available for all of us. Meditation, though, is such an amazing gift to yourself. It really is. And, so many people say, I don't know how to meditate. And I know there's so many people out there saying, you don't have to know how, right? You just get quiet. Well, for me, what I did was I took that pressure off myself. I was one of those people 20 years ago, I did not know how to meditate. I'm like, I can't get this. I can't sit still. I can't do it. What I found was, for me, walking out in nature by myself was also a meditation. And when I stopped judging myself, that actually just taking a walk and breathing the air and feeling the wind, I was doing what people do in meditation, because after so long, your mind starts to just go and wander to these magical places. And I was like, okay, that's my meditation. I do a walking meditation. And then my friends would get mad at me because they'd want to go for a walk with me, because I'd like go for these walks for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I was like, no, you can't go. That's my meditation time. If you're there talking to me, I'm not going to get what I need from the universe. But even if it was 10 minutes or 5 minutes, you know how you're having a really crappy day at work sometimes? If you can just go and get outside and at lunchtime, go for a 10-minute walk by yourself, that feeds your body and your soul. That's also a meditation. Just if you sit down and close your eyes and just breathe and count your breaths, that's a start for meditation. And you could just do that for 10 seconds and then 20 seconds and then 30 seconds and then a minute. That's also meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be this thing where you get out a pillow and you sit with your back perfectly straight and you're cross-legged in lotus position and you sit there for an hour and you visit nirvana. Yes, that does exist, but it's not the only way to meditate. And when we start out, it's actually a really a goal that's so far beyond where we are to try to access that it's not really fair. It's almost like we haven't made it before we've started because, again, we have this idea of what it looks like. But what if you let go of all the ideas and what else is possible with meditation that I've never even considered? Oh, I could just sit here on this couch for a minute and breathe in and out and just see, right? Just see if that doesn't calm me down. 3 breaths and call it meditation and you're good. And then tomorrow maybe you do 4 breaths. But this place of non-judgment and spending a few minutes connecting with the infinite you that is available to you if you go in search of her or him, that's meditation, in my opinion. And it's available to everybody.
I love it. It's such incredible words of wisdom. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and I know that people are going to watch this and want to know how to follow you or get in touch with you. How do people do that?
Well, I have a website. They can visit my website. It is a lot under construction right now, so please don't judge it. That's right now in 2018. Who knows how long this is going to go on. But it's mysticofmagic.com. And then they can find me on social media at Mystic of Magic on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm always posting inspirational little thoughts and ideas there as well. So that's where you can find me, and I'm always happy to share. And I think it's just amazing that you girls are doing what you're doing. I just want to be so appreciative for you having this and offering this out in the world and just being who you are. And I also want to appreciate both of you for who you are and all the good that you're doing just by being you. And everybody that's watching, just take a deep breath in and being you. Just yay me, right? What a privilege it is that I get to be me in this lifetime. And if we have time, I don't know how much time we have left, but we have time, I'd love to do a quick little grounding meditation for everybody. Just take us on a little few minute journey do we have time for that?
Yeah, we have time for that. And Denise she can continue the recording even though I'm going to have to go soon, but that's great. I would love, love, love to do that with you. So yeah, let's do that. And then we can just end after that. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Jules. We really, really have enjoyed this.
Thank you. It's been so much fun. Okay, so from where you are now, and I'm going to do it too, so we'll all have our eyes closed just for a few minutes. Close your eyes and just take a deep breath in and release the breath. And as you release it, feel your shoulders coming down. And then take another deep breath in, filling up your lungs, filling up your heart, filling up your body, juicy breath filling you up. And release it again. And as you let the breath go, just think to yourself, barriers down, barriers down, barriers down, pulling all your barriers down. You don't have to cognitively understand what that means. Just let your barriers come down. And then one more time, take a deep breath in and blow it out. And now you can just start breathing on your own. But from this space here, I'd like you to expand your energy out beyond your body just a little bit. Just ask your energy to move and it will. Don't judge yourself. Don't think about it. Just ask it and it will. And then expand it out a little bit more. And then I'd like you to take your energy up about 300 feet above your body and connect to the light. Just ask your energy to connect to the light. See it, sense it, feel it, or just ask. Ask yourself to connect to the light and feel that light coming down through your crown chakra and filling up your body, filling up every cell and fiber of your body and being. And now I want you to imagine the soles of your feet and imagine little roots growing out of the soles of your feet. And I want you to send those roots down into the earth and send them down, 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 further and further and further until they reach the center of the earth. And as your roots reach the center of the earth, I'd like you to imagine an enormous cavern in the middle of the earth. And the largest crystal that you've ever seen in the center of this earth. And as you see that crystal, ask your roots to expand and cover the crystal, expanding out and covering the crystal like a web, feeling your roots growing and expanding and grabbing onto this crystal. And notice as your roots are encompassing the crystal is pulsating. And it's pulsating with this amazing, creative, generative, supportive light of the mother. And we're talking about the Mother Earth. And as this crystalline light is pulsating, your roots are beginning to pull this light back up. This is the light of support. This is the light of pure love, of kindness, of joy, of sympathy. This light is holding you like you are a little baby, holding you in the arms of the mother, and this light is pulsating back up through your roots, all the way up to the soles of your feet, and pulling that energy into your body. And now that energy is blending with the energy of the light that's coming down from above you. And I like to see these two energies circling in the center of my body. And as that circle forms, it turns into a figure eight. And that figure eight of pulsating energy is churning round and round in the trunk and torso of my body. The energies are blending together, and as they do, they're now expanding out to every cell and fiber of my body and my being, filling me up with the oneness light of the heavens and the grounding light of the earth. And as these two energies have blended within me, they are becoming me. They are becoming my energy and who I am in the world and who I am as an infinite being. These energies are pulsating through me, shifting everything, feeding and nourishing me, shifting the energy of all that I am to the energy of light and groundedness. And now take a deep breath here and ask this energy and these energies to continue running on autopilot, so that they will always run for you without your cognitive mind needing to be aware of them. And ask these energies to let you know when they need your attention. And as they come to your mind, anytime, day or night, just bring your energy back to the pulsating energy within you. Bring your energy back to the light above you and down to the center of the earth below you. And contribute whatever you need to contribute. Asking them to run and continue to run just for a moment, knowing that they're always with you and knowing that this is the place that you always have to visit when you need it. One more deep breath in, coming back to your body, back to the room, back to the present moment, fully filled with the energy of light, the energy of groundedness, and the energy of all that you are. You can softly flutter your eyes open. And there we go.
Wow.
Amazing. I loved it.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jules.
Yeah. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.